Hey y'all, so it's me, Sabi. Just wanted to check in with you. Today is the last day of July for 2018. It's over. Put it in the books. Yeah, no, I've been thinking about some things ever since I started kind of really documenting some of the stuff that I've been talking about, uploading my thoughts into YouTube and just kind of getting some stuff out there. One of the bigger things that I noticed was a book that I had read not too long ago. It was called Solve for Happy. It was by, let's see, his name was No Gawdat. I can't, it's M-O and it's Gawdat. Now, his whole story is amazing. He is an engineer, I believe, at Google. His whole thought process about solving for an emotional problem is through an engineering, because he is an engineer. So, one of his equation, I won't go into the whole book. I won't like spoilers, I'm not going to go into everything, but one of the biggest things that I remember reading in that book was his equation, his actual happiness equation. What that looked like is a little different. So you have to balance your expectations with your reality. And this is one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot recently. I know I've touched on it. I work on a sales commission job. So recently my company has had a lot of different things go on with it. There've been some changes. There's been other companies coming in to help really take that production to the next level. Unfortunately, it really hasn't worked out at all for the company or for the individual workers, which is me in this case. So I've tried to think about how to solve for happy. How to think, how can I solve this emotionally or just with some kind of intelligence? So let me give you the premise and then let me kind of just talk a little bit about how I'm trying to solve for happy. So the expectation. The equation goes, if your expectation is high and the reality is low, then you will be depressed. You will have some kind of negative emotions harboring toward whatever it is. So for instance, if you are 10 years old and you're getting really excited for your 10th birthday party and you've invited everybody in your class to show up and it's going to be amazing, you're going to have ice cream and cake. Well, if only half the class shows up, there was no ice cream and the cake got thrown on the ground, the reality of that is that the expectation was really high. The reality was pretty low or mediocre. So that means you were upset. You cried, you pinted over it, you had some emotions about it, and you go back and think about those emotions with a little bit of salt, right? You're a little salty. Now, flip that. Expectations. When I was in cross country, my first meet, I had no expectations. I was a freshman in college, or high school, I'm sorry. So a freshman in high school. And my first cross country meet, I had ran a race at Columbus Cardinals in Columbus, Texas. I had no expectations for how I was going to do. I did not know how fast to run or the pacing to go. I literally just ran the 3 miles. And then when I got done, I looked up and I was 9th place. So I just wanted to finish the race. The expectation was very low. The expectation was, let me just finish the race. I've consistently never ran 3 miles up to that point. I was also playing football on the freshman team. So I didn't really have an expectation for a cross-country meet to succeed in the top 10. Top 10 medaled. I got 9th. And the expectation was super, super low. And and the reality of it was that I did very well. I was pretty good conditioned. And, I had a lot of experience with running. I know I'm kind of fat now, but I still do, and that's the thing. My expectation was very low, or expectation was very low, and then when you overachieve or when you hit just a good result, it feels so emotional. And to this day, I have a very high, respect for running because the expectation is still very low for running. I'm never going to go out and run, a marathon and, clock in before 2 hours. Every time I just want to get through it without an injury. I want to have a pretty good race. I want to feel good afterwards. Those are all the expectations. And then when you feel those expectations, but you're also, you saw a friend or, hey, also, you saw like an old couple holding hands when they're finishing the race. Those things are amazing. Those things are amazing to experience. And the feeling, the emotion that comes along with it, it definitely solidifies. So every time I have a race, the only time I get nervous is when I race in El Campo, which is my hometown. Simply because there's a lot of people there and, those are the streets I ran all through my high school experiences, training and stuff. So it's a little bit more of a expectation pride thing. But yeah, so So going back to solve for happy, I think that more of us in our daily lives, we need to manage the expectation, make sure that the expectation is manageable, that we can't be at a 10, and then, the reality is a 3. So, I mean, I can't really talk a lot about my job because I have signed some things to where I can't disclose different things and how everything happens. But in a nutshell, to keep everything vague, is that because my job is 100% commission, we go off of sales leads. Those sales leads were supposed to be a lot. We're supposed to be getting tons and tons and tons of sales leads, and that would give me more opportunities, which means that it would give me more money. The promises were, hey, we're going to do this, and that's going to equate to this, and that means that equates to X amount of money. So the expectation in this situation was super high. I mean, we were sky high. This thing is going to be a moneymaker. This thing is going to be amazing. You're gonna have so much fulfillment. The reality is that I have not sold very well. It's not that any of the processings have changed. It's simply just the idea that the quality of the customer, the quality of the lead is not there. And at this point, it's making you think, well, what else could I do? Let's put finances aside. I haven't talked anything about budgeting. I haven't talked anything about handling money or anything like that. And by all means, I'm not a guru. I follow certain principles that have helped me move significant amount of debt out of my life. But at the same time, I'm not perfect. And I don't ever claim to be. I'm not going to claim to be that I'm perfect at any of this stuff. But yeah, I do have a budget and I do have a cash flow indicator. At some point, I started losing money based off of what I was making and then what my expenses are. So that's an issue, right? That's something that we've looked into. But at the same time, that's something that we go. So going back to Solve for Happy, good book, pick it up. I really enjoyed it. I think it can help a lot of different things. But at the same time, I am, I'm trying to solve for happy within my own job performance and job expectation. I'm trying to lower the expectations so that the reality of it is a little bit less of a dissonance. And I think if I can do that successfully, I can be successful. If not, then I'll, change industries and move on. So quick 7-minute video, seven and a half. So yeah, have a great day.